Talk to me about what's on the table here. So what is the first thing that you say, "Oh, we got to talk about this"?
Well, kind of this a lot to pick from. We got the M7A1 PDW. We started doing these more than a decade ago, and it was featured like in the movie Ambulance. Jake Gyllenhaal had one throughout the whole movie. It was pretty kind of cool. Got some notoriety. This is just one that we had done a small run of these and a kind of a multicam S camouflage, and it's just kind of a quick little setup. Is that the bolt carrier and the buffers are unitized, so you have one reciprocating mass. So inertia, like a bolt and a buffer, move at different speeds because of a different mass. When you unitize them, it just takes the recoil out. So we've got a select fire gun that we do demos with all the time. It has the same recoil system, and it's basically a recoilless system because of that. We run a 7.5-inch match stainless barrels on them. You can get successfully hit out to 500 yards with these on a 7.5. It's pretty awesome. We run our S7 disconnectors and our nickel Teflon trigger assembly. The new ones this year all have flat triggers on them, but they're mil spec. And we prefer the mil spec only because like the military testing we do for like our NATO guns, they get drop tested, and you start playing with match ray barrels and you can get in a position where that gun falls and can discharge. And that's why we try to stay the commonality of components. So that's that one.
So on this little truck gun, Bearcat gun, there's two schools of thought. Some people are going to say, "Oh, you don't need that short of a barrel in the 5.56. You're not going to get full powder burn."
Sure.
I look at it from the other side of I've never had a volunteer that wanted to walk out to a certain distance and let me shoot that.
Here's a baseball glove.
Yeah, here, you go out there and I'll shoot. You tell me how bad it hurt. Well,
Dude, in our like law enforcement and government use, like we sold a lot of these into the government. Let's just call it that. The program with these is not necessarily the lethality of the carbine. It's more of the attention grabbing of the hostile people. So in a diplomatic security service type of situation, it's mainly, here I am, muzzle flash, muzzle flash, muzzle flash. Ignore this guy, get him back to the truck. And that's kind of like overpowering the situation. So when we have these, like these are a flash diversion device, or it's kind of an anti-concussive device called a Claymore. And all of our federal guns go with these on them. And what that does is it diverts all that energy. So when this thing's barking off, it sounds like a 300 Win Mag if you're the target. And it just gets that attention, gets the overpressure, speed, momentum, and violence. And that's what this is for. We make shoulder holsters for them, and they hang right here in a shoulder rig. And they're very quick to deploy, and then very quick to get back. They're small. Everything you need is on the stop rail. Some guys will run lights on them as well, but it's mainly just a brake contact, get back to the armored vehicle, and that's why these have been popular.
I could definitely see why. Yeah, definitely. So talk to me. Let's talk about this guy right here.
So this is our M10A1, which is now the Mark 11 series, if you see here on the tripod. So what we have here is this is an 8.6. We did a bunch of workup on that maybe 2 years ago. And what we're finding is that the 300 grain bullets, flawless and any of the semi-auto line. But we worked with Guerrilla Ammunition a little bit and said, hey, how do we make this work across the board and all the subs and everything else? It requires a lot of hand fitting of the feed ramp, overpowered springs, like you're really doing things that are taking the reliability down in a weapon. So in a 300 grain sonic round, it's perfect, runs great. Our suppressor is amazing. However, to start monkeying around with hand fitting, that's not production and that's not really repeatable.
Right.
And that's why we kind of backed away from it. But we put it out just to show just some of the capabilities that we do, and also the scope mount. Our modular scope mount, it's rated out to 50 cal. The rings can be mounted anywhere along the base. The bases can be 20 MOA or flat. They bolt in from underneath, and then you have the common interface type on it, which is like a hydraulic flange. Spur uses something similar to that as well, where we can have offset red dots, we can have bubble levels on any of these flanges that you see here, as well as LRF bridges, which you can see up on this one here.
Yeah.
So that's we're really proud of the mount. It's definitely the most rugged mount available. We're the only ones that can have that full modularity. We have a lot of people that'll switch the 6 screw to the rear. That'll allow better interface with red dots up close and out of the way of your turret, and to put the 2 screw or 4 screw setup up front for their LRF bridge. We're also seeing snipers on the government side will run an LRF bridge up here and then on the side they'll run a second one, and they'll put an end or a PEC on that. So everything is in when you're in your final firing position. Everything is at your fingertips. You're not reaching for any pads or buttons out front. So it definitely makes sense. It's, like, again, it's just rugged. So that's why we kind of had that out for you.
I've got this. I'm actually putting this on a PRS rifle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the front mount for laser range.
Yeah.
That way it's going to help me flawlessly with, I'm still not going to shoot well, but it's not going to be the equipment.
Right. No, definitely won't be the mount in that case.
Yeah.
And then what we have here, well, let's start with the gun that you had. So how long have you had this one?
So I had that, I don't know, a little over a month, maybe longer, but we sent it out before we did our podcast with Corey, and we wanted to really, when we did range day stuff, we actually got to hang out with you guys at Guns Out Range in Virginia, and it was great. But when there's so many people, you're only getting a magazine, maybe 2 magazines worth of fire, and it's, I really want to spend some time with the rifle if I like it. Great. And this, we loved what you guys were doing. Corey sold us on it. It was like, hey, you need to shoot more. It's like, well, send this out. Let me shoot. I'm blessed to have a range at my place. So I got out there and, got to shoot 500 rounds through this thing. And it's impressive. It's impressive. When it comes in the world of ARs, everyone who designs theirs is going to have feelings on why theirs is better. How I look at it is, of the top tier, whoever you want to put in that top tier, I could not find a reason why this rifle shouldn't be mentioned in that. So to me, that's a win. I would put it up against any other rifle. I would carry this every day if I had to. So, I loved it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of development went into this. This is we started with our TPR line, or Troy Control Rifle. The Kryptos suppressor is the evolution of 20 years of making suppressors. Troy invented having no outer tube on suppressors. We hold the first patent in the world on a welded baffle stack. We got a technology in there in the patents which gives it that sound reduction. Recoil Magazine this year has designated this the quietest at the year out of all 5.56 cans in the country. It's got an extremely low flash signature, top in class, extremely well in its heat gum. One of the best in class, and best of all, we're doing a wire EDM final pass on the center bore. So on our 14.5s, 11.5s, you can actually take the can off, fire a group, put it back on, fire a group with 0 shift. And a lot of that has to do with it's a semi K can, and it's, as ARFCOM said, it's a K can that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And the reason being is we found that balance point where we're only going back about 1.5 inches. And as a result, the gun only gets lengthened 4 inches, yet we have the best suppression of every 5.56 can in the market. And with our NATO contract, that was a very big critical factor, is that they're still thinking like our job, and especially like on long range recon, is to be undetected. So a lot of these sniffer cans that bleed gas or whatever, we deal with that in other ways. Like our gas ports are significantly smaller than most production guns. Yet the gun still runs reliably suppressed and unsuppressed. Our charging handle sweeps the gases out the side so you don't get them poof in the face. But as a result, we eliminate flash signature to the highest degree possible. We also have sound reduction that's unrivaled in the industry, and that's something that's very important to Tier 1 operators. So you're calling about Tier 1 guns. Well, this is the Tier 1 gun right here. This is has been adopted by several special forces units in NATO with the Kryptos suppressor. So we've redacted the logo on here, but who that's going to. Yes, it's a select fire suppressed 11.5 and 14.5 system. S7 disconnector again. The accuracy, the reliability, these things get tested to 30 below zero. They go out to like 190 degrees or on Fahrenheit, and then some other testing. They're just an incredible rifle, highly reliable, and we're very proud to be able to service this contract and be selected. And we're up against FN, HK, and CZ on this, and we won on top. The country that we were dealing with just had a huge anti-corruption push, and we came in right at the tail of that, so nobody was able to interfere in the good old boy network and round on fair and square. So that's what that is. Yeah, and essentially it's very similar to the 11.5 that you had, other than it's anodized in a tan color as opposed to the black the rifle that you had, and a select fire, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big difference. Big difference. But yeah, the anodizing is it's so popular now.
Yeah.
And
another first for Troy, we were the very first gun company to anodize an FDE. the very first SCAR rifle receivers from FN, Troy Industries anodized them in FPD. So that was something that we were really proud to be involved with FN and at that stage of the SCAR rifle development.
Yeah. And so when you started this and you started doing all of these things, and how cool does it feel now to know that, you've made your mark on the industry and you've got products around the world in use?
Yeah, it's really awesome. And we're being used by all the market. It's not just that we do a lot with the military, we do a lot with law enforcement. We're also our commercial market, and U.S. citizens and actually citizens of Europe and other countries are absolutely enjoying this as well. And that makes me proud to be able to service the world and as total, not just one segment.
Yeah. Because it's easy to just get stuck in one segment, because in some cases it's just the contracts are crazy. And why mess up a good?
But there's highs and lows and everything. Yeah. And the better you have balance, the more stable it is. And, I've got lots of families that rely on me to be able to keep this place going and stable. And if we were just to invest in one section, then it could be a death knell for us.
Yes.
Adding on to the law changes on export. Yeah, we had a time 2 years ago where they paused exports for 5 countries that we've never sold to. We sell to 40 countries, none of which were on this list of 5. Yet it held up all of our exports for 6 months. So had we been heavily invested in international and not balanced through U.S. and U.S. government and all that, we would have been in big trouble.
Oh, yeah, sure. And, in today's age, walking through, getting the tour, seeing where, everything is sourced local, stateside, that with all the current conditions of political environment, I'm sure there's still a few hurdles when it comes to sourcing material. Yeah, but it's kind of nice knowing that having everything stateside, it may be a little more expensive, but
it's pride. Every raw material, like all those machines you see running out there, all the metal running on 100% U.S., not Canadian aluminum, U.S. All the sewing that you see out there with these slings and suppressor covers, all that material is made here in the U.S. So we are proud to use it. And even though that we're not affected by tariffs directly because we don't import anything, we don't use any imports on anything. However, when that stuff starts getting more expensive, people come after our suppliers for resources, and then that drives price adjusts the price. And that's, we've had one of our first price increases in years, and it's just, hey, when you're paying for raw aluminum another 30-40%, and then you've got, everything else is adding up along the way, you've got to be able to recover that. We keep a low overhead. Our factory, we're highly efficient. We do a lot of really cool programs, as you saw out there, how we recycle coolant, how we recycle chips, how we do a lot of the movement of the parts across the floor, and the things that we do to save money. We pass that on to the consumer, but we are able to have a tier 1 rifle that you see here. And that's not us saying it. That's Rick said. We've won the contract on it as it's a tier 1. Groups are buying them. We're able to do that at a cost that people can actually afford. If they want to have the semi-auto version of this, no problem. We can do that.
Yeah.
For the same standards.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of unsung things that the regular consumer, the average person, doesn't get to see. And I was lucky enough to see. And some of those things are just the processes, which I know we can't discuss all of that, but the processes and even some of the jigs that are made to increase efficiency or just make the overall working environment better. And, walking through and seeing a clean shop, this is a machine shop and it's clean.
Yeah.
And seeing the workers and seeing the employees, how they have, just about everything they would need at the disposal. It was really impressive to see. It was really cool.
We're glad you got to come and see it.
Yes, that was really cool, because that's something that people don't understand. For the average guy that, garage builder, you sit in your shop and you cut your radio on and you're sitting at your workbench, and, you got your lawnmower parts on one side and you got something else and you're building, and boom, there goes a detent. Let's do it again. That's what I think in my head, that's kind of what a lot of people envision. Oh, well, that must be like, maybe not the lawnmower parts, but that's kind of what it's like at these places. And when you get in and see that it's an assembly line, to an extent, but just watching how the sites, just looking at the jigs, it's just like, wow, that is really
there's a lot to it. Like, a lot of people don't realize like what goes into production and the theory like sapping tolerances, like just throwing parts together. The sum of the parts doesn't equal the quality of the gun, right? It's just, there's a lot more to it. We have very tight quality gates. 1 in 10 of every component goes through a full quality check. The operators of machines are doing 100% checks on the parts that they're making with their own quality standards, and 10% of what they're doing is going back to quality for full check. That gives us low exposure to have problems get out. So when the quality was to find something like a tool wear issue that was led to something, they only have to go back 10 parts to find the culprits and get them separated out and destroyed. That's something that we've been really proud of. We've been in business for 23 years. Our quality is beyond anyone else in the industry on that, as far as we can do those quality gates and have that set up, and it's become our standard, and we don't want to deviate from it.
Yeah, and just looking at it, and every step of the way as any of these rifles are being built, there's a fail safe in there for a QC that if somebody says, hey, this isn't quite right, you let your ball halt. We're going to call a halt, and it goes all the way to the last guy that's putting it in the box. So that's reassuring to know. And then talking in the assembly cage and talking with the guys, I always want to ask the questions, and it was like, how do you QC in here? And it was, all right, well, we don't QC on rifle. The guy I was talking to, he said, I'll QC all these, but if I build something, then someone else QCs this. And it's just that extra step, that extra measure, that extra care that's put in there that, lemons and accidents happen in any part of manufacturing with anything you have. But to know that that level of care and quality goes into this, it just speaks volumes.
Yeah. Proud of the team. As you saw, like 80% of us are veterans, and that makes a difference. There's a core value that they understand. We understand the value of having a gun that's 100% functional level. It's got to work. It's got to work. There's no second chance. Most often, those I'm great.
Awesome. Well, man, I definitely appreciate you guys inviting us out, and thank you so much for the hospitality. God, man, absolutely. Thank you.